And we are on yet again another Wednesday. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to Sandman Sports, where we talk everything sports. And I'm talking about the whole of Africa, the whole of the world. And that's what we're about. We're giving you the best of the best when it comes to what's been happening in the streets. Again, don't forget, we love having you here. So please don't forget to subscribe, like the channel, because we've got some amazing guests here every week. And today I'm not alone, of course. I'm with Sandman, Sandman Sports, and I am with Dheyanka Naidoo. We happened to have a conversation off air, actually. And I asked her, I said, Dheyanka, what do you actually do, hey? Her answer was very funny. She said, I also don't know what I do. I also don't know what I do. But just to give you a little bit of a brief, she is in charge of the KZN Under 16 ladies team. She's the coach. She's the ladies coordinator. She's been involved in a couple of the girls that have been called up to the South African side. She's just jack of all trades, eh? Master of all also. Don't worry, I got you. How are you?
Thanks for that introduction. I'm probably going to get a written warning tomorrow at work.
No, you'll be fine. Don't worry. We'll protect you. We got you here. Sandila, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, Cody. It's good to be back. It's good to be talking everything sports and everything cricket with our lovely guest today.
100%. And of course, we talk everything sports, but the biggest chats in the streets right now is, of course, the cricket World Cup that's happening in the West Indies and in America. And I think it'll be lovely if we could just start on that. Everyone is just wondering, especially with South Africa having played 3 of their opening games in New York with a drop down, drop in pitch. I just want to hear, Dheyanka, can I just start with you? What do you think? What do you think the World Cup has been like, especially from South Africa's point of view? As a fan, has it been fun to watch? Because I know a couple of all the other countries have been saying it's fun to watch, but I just want to know, have you been enjoying what you've been watching?
Yeah, Cody, it's been crazy. Like, if you're watching the game that's on right now, India is being tested here against USA. So, when I was playing, I was a bowler. So I love this World Cup.
Oh,
Bowlers finally have a show.
We
Um,
see you.
it's been absolutely crazy. Like, when you think about cricket and T20 cricket and where it's been going, and especially coming out of this recent IPL where teams were nearly making 300, and we were making 250 regularly. For us to be able to defend 111 and 119 now, definitely conditions have come into play. The pitch has come into play, but yeah, the scores have been crazy, and I didn't think we were going to get there now with T20 cricket.
100%. I mean, it's very interesting what you say. Sandila, just hold on. I just want to, Dheyanka, I'm just going to come at you a little bit, hey? Very interesting what you say. I mean, you're saying, we've been watching, with the other tournament that's just recently finished in India, where we've been seeing massive scores of 200, close to 300. And now in what we think is the start of something brilliant with America, the United States, with us taking cricket there. And we've been seeing low scores. Do you think it's okay because we're trying to attract people, we're trying to attract crowds, and the only person or people who would enjoy a close game that is 97 target is people who actually know cricket, but people who don't understand cricket want to see sixes, they want to see the ball flying around, but we're not seeing that. So what's your take on that? Are we winning a couple of Americans over into the sports and maybe cashing in on a couple of dollars?
It's ironic because I remember sitting and listening to the commentators during the IPL, and they were like, "Is the bowlers? It's not the bowlers' game anymore." And what plan should the bowlers make? And now we literally hit back of a length. You're getting wickets. They can't hit you. Now it's like, hey, bowlers are back in the game. Now what must the batters do? But obviously, as the games have gone on, you've seen the pitch has calmed down a bit, especially in New York. In terms of entertainment, I completely understand what you're saying. As a cricket fan, we enjoying it because it's a good battle between bat and ball.
Yeah.
But if someone was sold and they were like, "Hey, it's gonna be raining sixes. Come to the stadium," I think they're in for a bit of a surprise. Um, there's been some great shots though. Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
shots of spirit that are gonna go for six. So finally, there's an even playing field here. So hopefully, the crowds are being entertained. Hopefully.
Speaking from a bowler's point of view, right? You're so biased. I'm so sorry. You are so, oh my word. Sandman, and what's your take? What do you think? How have you been enjoying the World Cup so far?
I'll go back to Dheyanka's point because I'm also speaking from a spinner's point of view. So
Oh my
this World
God.
Cup is, this World Cup has been a bowlers World Cup. We're winning as bowlers, we defending. But the most interesting thing and what I love about this World Cup is it tests the bowler skills of defending low totals on surfaces that are very uncertain. So I think that's the nice part of it, where we get to make the batsman's life very hard. You have to test the front pad and see if they kick it or they're using their bat to hit the ball. So it's always nice to see such things. But I'd also love to see a couple of sixes. One or two games that go for 200. Make it interesting and give the people what they want, and that's sixes and fours. But maybe when we move over, obviously, to the Caribbean, we'll start seeing the party, because that's where the party's at, the Caribbean.
100%. Very interesting that you're speaking about the Caribbean, where it's been a little bit more entertaining than it's been in the States. But now I just wanna talk about staying with the Proteas, and I'm putting this on the floor. Do you? And I mean, it's something that we've all predicted, and I think most of us were right in terms of how the lineup would look. So now, do you think going into the Caribbean, do we change it up, or do we trust the same lineup that we've trusted with surfaces that are a little bit easier, I would like to say, than what these guys have experienced in the United States? Dheyanka, can you maybe go first, and maybe you tell me what you think? Do we maybe change it up, get in one or two guys who haven't really played, and if they perform, is it then fair to say they should have started because now conditions are different?
Well, I think that's what it'll come down to, is conditions will 100% change when it moves down to Caribbean. It depends on the surface again. Like we have Shamsi sitting on the side. Keshav, you see, he's either gone really well, or he's had a game where he struggled a bit. So spin hasn't been dominating like we've seen, but our pace has been on point. One of the best bowling lineups and the way they've gelled and fed off each other. The games are so close with South Africa that it could be anyone's game on the day. So it's hard to talk about change now when they've gotten the 3 out of 3. I think it'll be interesting to see if any. I could stand to be corrected, but I think we've qualified.
Yeah. Rumor has it.
Rumor has it. So I think if they do want to try different combinations, the game against Nepal might be where we see something out of the box or something different.
So Sandile, I'm gonna bring you in now. With what Dheyanka's just said. We're trying different combinations, and I'm just gonna go like for like. I hope it is like for like. Say we put in Ricks for a reason.
I knew you were going.
Yeah, we put in Ricks for Riza, and Ricks scores big. Now, when we go into the eliminators, do we then say Ricks is on form and we're going to take him ahead of Riza, who's been consistent for longer periods, but also, Ricks has been on a rich vein of form? What do we do if he performs? Do we stick to our guns and say?
Cody, why are you making this question so hard?
It's very simple. If Ryan scores runs, does he stay in the team?
It's not that simple. And between you and I and all of us here on the show, we all know it's not that simple. But I think, look, if we make the change and say Ricks comes in for Riza, sharp, and Ricks gets a 50, for example, or even 100. This is just me giving him hope, and we play, because now it depends where do we play the semi-final or the eliminator, because that's the most important thing. Are we going to go back and play in America, or if we stay in the Windies, do we back Greeks?
I think everything is in the Windies now. Everything is in
I
the
can only hope.
Windies. No,
if that's the case, then if Rick scores, Rick stays. The reason I'm saying that, I have nothing against Reza, but it's a thing of Reza's had 3 games. Yes, he's been consistent domestically. He's coming to the side. He's deserved it. But he's had 3 games to showcase, in a tough surface, I want to be here. So that's been hard for him. He hasn't scored those runs. I think David Miller's been our best player so far, with Klaassen showing that he can still bat on tougher surfaces. So if a player like Griggs comes in, maybe Quinton's going to be a better batsman. I'm not saying he's not a better batsman now, but maybe he's going to play differently with Riggs at the top of the order. They're probably going to complement each other nicely on those surfaces, because those surfaces allow for the aggressive nature of gameplay. So it'll be interesting. But if Riggs comes in, Riggs stays. That's my take, because he brought him to the World Cup based on form. He's been consistent this season. He's shown that he can go on the green and gold. I say leave him at the top of the order with Quinny if he performs against Nepal on Friday.
Okay, I hear you.
He's playing.
Say it again?
What?
You said if he performs against Nepal, so you know he's playing.
Oh yeah.
I'm only hoping, because we've qualified. We've qualified. You know, most whenever we qualify, we use those games as testers of different combinations to see, the Brown sideline, is he not rusty? Let's give him a World Cup debut or something. So I think it's just going to be one of those situations. Maybe we're going to see a Shamo also giving us his mysteries there in the Windies. But the question is, who do you drop in the bowling attack? Because
And I mean, you also mentioned the 2 guys who've been key and have been performing in David and Klaassen. And I don't know if you caught Klaassen's interview, post-match, man of the match interview, and the one thing that stood out in what he said is, we had a conversation in the change room as batters with David in terms of how he's been approaching his innings. And, it may be, it's not necessarily a cricket term, but he just said, just bat. Don't bat to get yourself in, but you must just bat. Now, Dheyanka, my coach, and I know there in KZN, conditions are like this. They're very tough. What's the conversation you have, with the top order when we're struggling like this? What do you think the conversation should be? Because from Davey, he just said, guys, you can't go out there to try bat yourself in. You're never in on these kind of surfaces. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, for our viewers who are watching, maybe some not really cricket queued up like you guys here. What's the conversation like in the change room?
So see, David grew up in Durban, so that's why he's so attuned there. Durban. But in seriousness, like, if you feed off what he said, he's literally, it's the basic thing that we teach to juniors is almost like play the ball on its merit. So if you watch that, the game that he dug us out of the hole, both innings technically were great innings.
Yeah.
He literally knocked the ones around. When there were 2s on offer, he used soft hands, took the 2s. We always say we were talking about 4s and 6s earlier, yeah. But if you get 6 2s in the over, you got 12 off the over already. No boundaries.
I need you to repeat that again. Just that analysis one more time. I need you to repeat it one more time.
6 2s in the over give you 12 runs and over. So it's not always a boundary, right? So strike rotation is key. And he honestly, if you watch these innings, he waited for the bad ball, and it's so cliche, and it's so he played it where his strengths were. So he didn't try and go down on one knee and kind of scoop it, or he played to his strengths. He went cow corner, he went straight, he went through cover. And that was what was really good about his innings. And you could see that the other Protea batters then tried to emulate that in the next game. So literally knock the ball around, take the singles, rotate strike, and then he punished anything that was loose, that missed length. He dug into that. And I think that's what was key. And that's all we teach these kids. But it's obviously, we get into the middle, we want to hit fours, we want to hit sixes. It's not about strike rotation. And so when we get into these tough situations, those are the nitty gritty batters that will win you games. Not necessarily your big hitter, but someone who can almost adjust and can adjust to the conditions.
Good answer. No, I'm love you. You're so diplomatic about it, eh? You see, you won't get fired. You'll be fine. Sandman. You know, Dheyanka speaks about, she speaks about, you know, the little things, sticking to basics. And I'm gonna put you on the spot one more time before we move over to the Caribbean, where it's gonna be fun. The whole purpose of this World Cup happening in the States is again to attract crowds. Do you think with the tournament being at the stage where it is now, do you think the ICC has achieved that? Have we won a couple of American citizens?
Look, the way America themselves are playing, I think that's a big plus for Major League Cricket in America. Seeing some of the players, yes, as much as they're not born in America, but for them to come in and make the American team look so good, where Aaron James is the highest run scorer, individual score in the competition. That's a big plus for them. Having also a player like Nicholas Curtin from Canada sitting in the top 5 top run scorers. So it's a big plus for America and Canada in a sense where we're seeing them play a non-traditional sport and attracting crowds around the world. If you look at the South African game against Bangladesh, yes, 90% of the stadium was Bangladesh fans, but it's good to see them come out in numbers and supporting the teams and filling up a stadium for a game that's a non-traditional in such a country. And baseball being their traditional sports, this is a big plus for them going forward. Hopefully, in the next 10 years, we can start seeing more homegrown American players playing for America, whereas instead of having imports playing for America. Because I think that's the biggest legacy that should come out for America in terms of this World Cup, where we see homegrown players come out. And hopefully we can actually, let's say in the next 20 years, have an American World Cup with proper pitches, not dropping pitches, and see how they play. Because that goes a long way, because you start understanding the game differently, you start understanding surfaces.
Yeah.
And going back to what Coach D was saying about how sticking to basics, those basics help a lot of players, and also, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach D, the language from coaches and senior players within the changing also goes a long way in how you go about those games, where David has been there for long enough to stand up and say, listen, guys, let's keep it simple. Let's just go out there and bat, instead of talking technicality and talking unnecessary complex conversations. Just have a simple conversation. Let's go out there and bat. Let's rotate to strike. Keep the scoreboard going. So, yeah, at large, hopefully it's good for America. But also hopefully we see cricket grow in America and that legacy continues post 2024.
No, you throwing it back at me. I'm loving it. You see, there's no pressure here. This is a privilege. You're privileged to be talking here. Don't look at it as pressure. Just one more before we move. Coach D, and another player who's playing out of the Dolphins right now. How impressed have you been with Bartman? And with me saying that, is that something that we should look into doing as a country in terms of our selectors, where he was I think possibly a shock to a lot of us, but he was picked based on his form at the time. Is that something we should do also going forward, no matter the experience that one has, but because of form that one may be in, we pick him anyway? How have you been impressed with him? And do you think going forward, this is something we should look into doing as a country?
Definitely. I mean, Natal boy.
Oh man, that's not the point. But anyway,
I love it. I love it. I love it. We're all together.
I think he came up in a previous chat Sandile and I were having, where he was in great form in the SA20. And I think he had missed out on a call up to a tour that had happened, and everyone was like, so maybe it was conversations around Durban. People were a bit shocked because of the form he was in. He's been his death bowling has been phenomenal. He has missed it a bit because our traditional death bowling is what, to go full, go Yorkers. Here it's hitting a hard length so that batters can't get under it. So once they found that adjustment, our bowlers have been phenomenal in the death, and Bartman's been just up there as well with some of the best in the world. You wouldn't know he was a newcomer.
100%.
Yeah. So 100% for selectors, I would think go form. Go form. The reason is, in a World Cup, you need to hit your straps and you want to start well and you want to keep going.
Yeah.
You want to keep going. You kind of don't have time to find your feet or, oh, okay, we messed up here. You've already dropped points now. You're sitting low on the table. There's pressure on you. So I think go form, get your best 11 on the park, and let them try and get you the most that they can out of this World Cup. It's a few matches. It's a few weeks. It's not like a drawn out series where you can go back to the drawing board and this and that. The pressure in a T20 game.
Yeah.
So I think go form. Put them in the deep end. These men want it. These boys want it. This is what they dream of. They want to be in that boiling pot in that cauldron. You speak to the best players in squads, and that's what they want. They want to be tested. So give it to them. There's no point taking the most experienced player because they always talk about yes, Sandile.
No, he must
carry
wait
on.
for you.
I'll let you finish your point, and then I'll
I was gonna
start
say,
a question from the comments here.
I was gonna say, we always say you can't buy experience, but when you speak to a player that's out of form, they will tell you they just want to feel that one ball out of the middle, or you can never find that one moment that gets you back there. So I would go with the best form and let them gain that experience. You never know what our next World Cup can then produce.
True. In that conversation, Coach D, you mentioned experience, and one of the comments here says, "What do batters need to do to play well on those pitches?" Obviously, looking at players like Davy, who've just accustomed to the surfaces real quickly. What can you, as a coach, say? This is what batters can do. Obviously, surface dependent and situation dependent.
Yeah. Echoing again similar stuff. So looking to keep the scoreboard ticking. So you're looking to get your ones, your twos, rotate, strike. There's nothing worse for a bowler that they can bowl the best ball in their repertoire and then you get one off them. Yeah. And again, that's how we just keep building and you wait for that bad ball. If we have to manufacture something, say we're chasing a score, then look, I would assume, because it's the way I coach, and I know a few people that coach the same way, is when we chat to batters, we chat about single options. So a certain batter would have different single options to someone else in the team. We chat about 2 or 3 different boundary options. So if option number 1 and number 2 are not working or they're blocked, then we go to 3. And we chat about how we get out of certain situations. So I know it's tough. You can't trust the bounce in the pitch. It's hard to hit through the line. So we chat about things like that. It's almost like you're playing on a slow turning wicket because you kind of have to just watch it onto your bat and take the ones, take the twos. You will get a bad ball. No bowler is going to give you 120 gun, hitting length, hitting top of off. There's always going to be...
Unless they are Dheyanka Naidoo, back in the days.
From KZN. If they are from KZN.
Because, you know what, I'm saying this actually because I heard how, that personal when you said there's nothing more a bowler hates than getting hit for a single off a good ball.
You just get me. You get a Yorker and they like toe edge it and it goes for 4. It's like, nah. So
yeah.
On these type of wickets, you just have to be patient. You have to.
And now, Sandile, I don't know if you want to share anything again on just to add on to what Coach D is saying. or I can move on to the next point.
No, Coach Diaz has answered every ask, and she's there. She's
He
there.
dropped the mic.
Ones and twos.
Yeah. So another team that's been exciting, and I'm keeping it in Africa, Uganda. I just want us to give them a little bit of time, and we talk about them. It's just been up and down with them, but firstly, that win. Let's talk about that. What does it mean for a country like Uganda for them to go out there and actually come back with a W? What do you think that does for the cricket in the country? Sandman, you can go first.
Ooh, look, it does a lot of positives on them that they can actually go to World Cup and not be a punching bag and actually compete. That's the most important thing, is that being a punching bag of the World Cup is not nice. We just come back with 0 W's and everything's just L's, or a tie, or no result. So for them, it does them a world of confidence, and they can go back and learn from that W that, listen, this is what we got right, and this is what we can do right going forward as a team, as a country, as a coaching staff. It's a massive thing for them. Yes, obviously we all knew they were not going to make it to the Super 8, but for them to get a W is a massive confidence.
I had hope. I had hope. You
Bro.
don't speak for yourself.
Oh, I'm defeated. I'm
Very
defeated. But yeah, that's my take, that it does a world of confidence for them going into the reign of the World Cup, and just with cricket in general, that they can compete. They're not a punching bag.
Okay. Nah, lovely. Just before we move, Coach D, a question came in from Smoo, and he's asking, do you think we've got a chance, in your honest opinion, do you think we have got a chance of winning this World Cup?
I do. I've followed cricket my whole life, and obviously it's like a childhood dream to see us lift the trophy. So I'm gonna say yes. We need to be more clinical in our games. All three matches have had moments where we like, what are we doing? And I think the most important thing is we've got those wins now. We've got the momentum, and I think we finally we found our footing. We found the confidence, and I think going into the West Indies, we'll be able to play more free-flowing cricket. So I'm hoping that'll be a whole completely different side out of us. I'm hoping it'll bring something out of Quinton and get us firing from the top of the order all the way down. So I honestly do believe we do. We do have a history of playing really well in the group stages and then messing up in the knockout. So it'll be interesting to see how this Nepal game goes, and then see the knockout matches. Then Spoo, I'll come back and I'll give you an answer after the first knockout game.
Beautiful. And now as contenders for the World Cup, this is to you again, Coach D. What can we do as a country to help a country such as Uganda get better as well? I know there's already systems in place, but for everyone who is not really behind the scenes with what's been happening in cricket, and they just watch whatever they see on TV, what can we do better? As the big dogs in Africa, but not only in Africa, in the whole world. I mean, we compete with everyone. What can we do to help countries like that just get better and better?
Look, our pipeline systems in South Africa are really good. If you compare us to some of the best countries in the world, we pretty similar to them. So I've seen it happening a lot in our winter periods now. So in these months we're talking about, so April till about September, I've seen a lot of African countries traveling to like different parts in South Africa and playing like an academy side or playing an SAA side, and just getting as much cricket as possible and getting exposed to what we have to offer. And then obviously it's a symbiotic relationship where we get information from them and we can share with them as well. For example, I think it was a year ago we hosted Oman just as a small cricketing nation, but they played against our Dolphins Academy. So I think a lot of unions are jumping onto that as well, because it allows our developing teams game time, and it also allows other African nations or smaller cricketing nations to have game time in South Africa as well. We're fortunate enough in Durban that our weather doesn't change like drastically, so we can play through our winter. We have a massive winter program running. So I mean, Namibia, Zimbabwe, we play a lot of triangular series against them. It may not be our Protea side, but we have SAAs, we have academies, we have HP teams.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best way we can help these teams that are developing. And I mean, them being at the World Cup, they'll come back with a wealth of knowledge. And now it's almost like it's our responsibility to help them grow as well, as much as we can.
Lovely. No, thank you so much. That's beautiful. I think you've summarized it well in terms of how we can move forward and help Uganda. Now I'm gonna switch it up again one more time. I'm switching. Is that me? That's not me.
It was my sister. I don't know why she's talking to me. Sorry.
Oh, shame. That's a fine. Now, you spoke about the pipeline and what it's done for our country, and now the other, besides the World Cup happening, and I'm sure in the last 5 minutes of the chat we'll go back just to close off the World Cup chat. But I just want to get into a little bit of this pipeline that you speak of, but in the ladies division, the ladies game. We spoke about the new coach the interim coach who's been appointed for the Protea ladies, and the team that he took down to India. There's what's your take? I'm gonna actually put Sandile first and let you think about it. Sandman, the team that went to India, I remember we had a conversation about it a couple of weeks back in terms of the pressure that the coach is under in terms of going to play India in India with a relatively young side that has to. Yes, he's been part of the system, but they need to now. He calls the shots now. So what do you think? How do you think you're gonna do when we get down there?
Look, it's actually at a cost of toss of a coin, where it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. I don't see it being an in-betweener, where we might just see that some players might express themselves differently and come better into their game. A couple of them were on tour in 2021, so they know how the surfaces play. Some of them play, obviously, the women IPL, so they know what to look out for. And there's a wealth of experience in that squad going to India to make Coach Dylan's job quite easy, and I think they'll come alive, because maybe having a different voice will help them. When you hear a different voice at training sessions, in a change room or a team meeting, it does change your perspective. It does change how you go about things, because it's a different language. It's a different conversation. Yes, you've been in the system, but you just hear something different from a coach that's been there but knows also what needs to be achieved. Having a couple of players that haven't obviously played Test cricket going there. Anna Rees also their first tour, and she hasn't played any one-day cricket in India. Those type of players that are going there, it's going to be interesting how they perform. And I always wish, especially with the women's side, that we don't rely on Wolfie, we don't rely on Kapi, Brits, for them to perform with the bats. We also don't just rely on players like Ayabonga Kaka, Tumi, and Lefty to perform with the ball. We need to allow those other players need to pick up their hands and show that, listen, coach, I want to be in this team. Coach, I deserve to be in this team, and I can do it on any surface in any country. Just give me the chance to play, because I think that's the biggest thing. And having a player like Nondumisa come back, who's been in the squad for some time and knows what happens, is a big plus for the women's team. It's another player that can bat and bowl and offers that all-round capabilities for the squad. So I have big hopes, and positivity that we're gonna come out right in this tour against India, especially leading up to a World Cup.
Coach D, I see you also eager to jump onto that.
No, I'm listening to Sophia talk about the KZN girls again. It's just like,
Can we shy away from this KZN thing, right? Oh my word, right?
Oh.
I think it's going to be interesting. Echoing exactly what Sandile said, there's a lot of pressure on Dylan, maybe not directly, but from the public. There's an expectation now. As you said, he's been in the system, but he wasn't the one responsible for decisions per se. So it'll be interesting. I think, I've seen how he works, and I really do think he'll bring out the best in these girls. An interesting squad. It's a young squad with a mix of a lot of experience.
Yeah.
That 2021 tour, I think they came off 4-1 against India. They won that series, the ODI series. So I think they're going back with some great memories. It's obviously a much longer tour. So we're playing a test now, and we're playing some T20s. So I think it's really going to stretch the girls. We know India is not an easy place to tour, especially with the test match. So that's really going to test our ability with spin. It's going to test our patience. And I think Sandile's spots on there, girls need to put their hands up and say, it's me. Similar to what Dalmi Tucker did in the last test match, where no one was talking about her, but she was the top scorer. So it's exactly that. Put your hand up, take your opportunity.
I'll tell you one thing. India is better than what the States is giving us right now. But anyway, story for another day. So now you spoke about the balance of young and experienced. I think that's the right word, not old, but experienced. So now, if for a starting lineup, so hypothetically speaking, do we then go for an all-out experienced team and let the youngsters learn from the side, or do we chuck some of them in the firing line with the protection of course, some of the more experienced players, just to grow the game? That's for you, Coach Steve. That's for you. Told you I'm coming.
It's a tough one. I'll tell you why. When you're getting into such a long series, you want to start well. You never want to be chasing the series. So I would say play it safe. Personally, I would say play it safe. Try and get that first win. It also takes some pressure off either the debutants or the new players to know that, okay, we've got this win. I have some sort of freedom or free reign to kind of express myself. And then if they pick their hand up and they do the job, then let them run with it. Similar to what you were saying about Ryan Rickleton. If they're doing it, let them do it. I mean, it's what we need. We need to have replacements for your Kapis, your Kakas, the girls that are nearing retirement. I don't know when, but I'm saying they have played for a better part of a decade in the team. So we need to know who can take their place. And I think we need to expose these girls slowly but surely. And the best way to do it is, I think, start strong and then kind of like filter them in with some sort of protection, but enough responsibility so that they learn and want to put their hand up as well.
Beautiful. Sandman, hypothetically speaking again, we don't start well and we start with our strongest side. Do we then still, put these girls under pressure like that? Do we then say, you know what, it's a dead rubber, for lack of better words, it's a dead rubber. Just go out and express yourself. Is that then helping them in their development, or are we hurting them?
It's a tough one, because like Coach D mentioned, that winning the first game gives them the confidence and free reign. But now if you lose the first game and then you ask them to climb back into a series, that makes it hard. Because especially if you're debutant or you're new to playing in India, you don't have a reference point of we've done it before. Where do I go mentally to find that dig, that hunger, that fight? Well, okay, next game, this is what I did well in my previous tour. That's what I'm gonna replicate in the next game. So it's gonna be hard, especially coming off a loss. But if you're coming off a win, like Coach D echoed, um, you're just gonna play freely and you'll be confident, and you start pulling out shots that you don't normally play because you back yourself. If you're not used to playing a paddle or a sweep, you'll play because you've won the first game and you're confident to play because surfaces allow, and that's type of skill sets or shots that work on those surfaces. As much as when we play on the same surface throughout the whole tour, but you just start getting confident and being, you know what, I got this, I can do this. So if they come off of a win, I give them the props to continue adding the debutants and the young players. But if they're coming off a loss, it's going to be hard to make them swim where it's very deep for them, especially if you don't have a reference point mentally on how to perform in those surfaces or unknown surfaces for you as a player.
And I hear we talking about the kind of pressure that the players are on, not forgetting the pressure that Coach Dylan is also under. How do you approach this? Because I think at the moment as a country we're just wondering who's going to replace Coach. It's just remind me the name. It's slipping. It's here. It's here.
Hilton.
Coach Hilton, yes. We all wondering who's going to replace, and there's all sorts of pressure, right? To Cricket South Africa, that whoever must replace must do better because he's done so well for such a long period of time, right? He's done so well for such a long period of time, and now I don't want to say things were going downhill, but things weren't at the high that they were, and that's why they changed. So what kind of pressure is Coach Dylan under right now? And do you think it's fair that the first task that is given is India? Coach D?
The one positive there is India is also up and down. So they remind me so much of a South African side. They can go there and compete with the absolute best in the world, and then they can have an absolute shocker out of the blue. So I think going into the series, they obviously have home advantage, but I think it's anyone's game. I can't call it right now. Anyone can. I think it'll come down to who's more hungry to win it here. So I think in terms of what Coach Dylan is going to have to deal with is making sure the change room's happy. Because if you have a happy change room, walking out onto that field, those girls are going to fight for you and fight for that culture and fight for the cause. If he wants to better his predecessor, then we just need to win a World Cup. That's it.
No pressure. This is the kind of pressure I'm talking about, right? This is the kind of pressure I'm talking about. You just put it straight on. And very interesting, you speaking about the World Cup. So now some of the debutants or the less experienced players that will be now in the team, say and I'm hoping that it happens. Say they do perform better than our more experienced players. Again, do we then take these players to the World Cup? Because now this will be a smaller squad. Do we then take these players to the next Women's World Cup instead of our experienced players? Sandman, you're looking at me very funny. What do you think? You've been sighing the whole night, eh?
Because Cody, you've been coming with tough questions that they could have a man fired. But look, I'll answer the ask with my chest and say, look,
be diplomatic about it.
I'm trying to find the words. The English data is that, look, I'd say take the youngsters, but don't take too many youngsters. You still gotta have that balance of players that have done it at the World Cup, because that's very important. You don't want to unsettle the change room where certain conversations can be had. A lot of our players have played on spinning surfaces. They know what it takes, obviously, to deal with those pressures. the players that played in last year's World Cup got us to a final, so they know what it takes to get to the final. They've overcome all the pressures previously, so you still need that balance. But I wouldn't take too many debutants to a World Cup. Like what the Proteas did, you got a couple of those boys that are there, so you're just going to do the same thing. Take them to the World Cup, let them either play in the World Cup or let them learn on the side at the World Cup. There's a couple of questions there that are coming up there from Faida. There's so much pressure on the squad. The new coach, a lot of youngsters who haven't played in India. A Tasman Brett's coming from a nasty injury, and the weight of the so yeah, that's like Faida saying, is that there's a lot of pressures coming into in winning. Like Coach, I'm echoing what Coach D is saying, that he'll have to win the World Cup to do better than Coach Hilton, to be honest. And he has to pick his squad right to achieve that. There are players that have played in the World Cup final, so they know what it takes. But he just has to pick the right balance.
Yeah, and a lot of the right players are from KZN. Am I correct in saying that?
He must just phone me. I'll tell him. I'll help him select.
Coach, how are you helping? You're gonna recommend a lot of KZN girlies, ne?
Yeah, Lefty, Nandu got called back in, like KZN's here. KZN.
So yes, speaking of that, and I mean, our cricket with our ladies cricket has been improving, and when I say improving, I mean we've got a bigger pool of players to pick from now than back in the days. By back in the days, I mean not so long ago, 3 years ago, we didn't have such a massive pool to pick from. I just want to understand from you who's very involved in the ladies from a very young age. What are you guys from the under 16 level doing right that the ladies, because we've had one or two ladies that were ready at this tender age of 16, which means you guys are actually doing something right. What is it that you guys are doing different to help these ladies get ready for the next level? And the next level right now is, I don't think is under 19 or is provincial. It looks like next level right now is national, because we've seen it happen. So I just want to know, programs in place that are there to assist the ladies, the girls, at that young age to be ready for the next step.
The call up, yeah. So I know a lot of provinces do it as well, but literally from the under 13 space, we are looking after these kids. So I can speak from KZN because I know I'm involved in it. We've literally, like the other day, had a screening for primary school girls. We had a little 6-year-old, like 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds, just coming through. Just girls that have been watching like World Cup matches or watching, like cricket on TV, and they're like, I love it. And then like just teaching them how to bowl, bat, mini cricket kind of stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah, but then we also had 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds who now could play cricket, and we were helping them. So we're actually running a tournament in a few weeks' time with 8 under 13 girls team. So it's massive growth in the province. That takes care of our primary school space. In terms of high school, there's under 15. So there's a bridge between that primary school to high school, under 16, under 19. And then obviously feeding into now with the introduction of the SA under 19 World Cup. So a lot of emphasis on that under 19 space. And then our provincial sides now are contracted. They're professional. So girls can literally finish school, get a salary, be studying and playing sport. It's mind-boggling how crazy and professional the space has changed like that.
Yeah.
So I literally can have a kid who's in grade 11 in my under 16 squad this year. And in 2 years' time, she could be playing for the Dolphins ladies and earning a salary. So we just need to streamline our pipeline as much as we can. I can share with you that we work very closely with the SA under 19 coach and all the coaches in the country. So Dheyanka is very open with her thought process and what she wants at SA under 19. and it's almost like it filters down every provincial pipeline. So if she has a certain blueprint that she wants her under 19 players to play at, we are kind of coaching our under 16s to buy into that process and that culture. And then if I've done it correctly, then the under 19 coach will do it correctly and it goes through. So when she gets those players, she's just chatting about, hey, can you scoop this ball for 6? Not, we're looking to get this and this is our culture. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
streamlining the process and making sure that our pipeline runs smoothly. There's a lot of opportunities for these girls. So we just need to make sure we take care of them as they move up the age groups.
Thank you. Oh, Coach D, I love having you here. Hi, Sandman. Yes.
I actually have a question for Coach D. And it's a thing of, do you think that the blueprint set obviously by the under 19 coach, do you think it speaks to, obviously now it'll change because Coach Dylan now is the interim coach, but do you think that that under 19 blueprint should speak to what we're doing at the women's level, the senior level? And also, do we also need to look after a very important space that we seem to forget in our pipeline, the varsity space, where how do we grow that pool of players that play cricket in varsity level?
Yeah. 100%. Like, I mean, if we could all sit in like one meeting and Coach Dylan presents and he's like, this is my vision, this is my culture, this is what I want. And if every single coach in that women's pipeline buys into it, we are winning World Cups. I can tell you that now. It's coaching is a thankless job, and you can't have any egos here. We need to all kind of almost be on the same page. We're trying to just grow a kid. You don't know what effect you have on them. And I think if we all speak in a similar language and we have a similar message to share, these kids can really gel and go all the way. In terms of, there was a second part of your question. Oh, varsity. So in all honesty, our biggest challenge now is school cricket. We don't have enough girls' schools playing cricket. Our biggest are the CSA hubs and our club teams. We don't have like boys cricket, how you have your top 6 boys schools and you know they're going to make your provincial sides and then they go to cub weeks, and it's not like that with the girls space. So before we can even look at varsity teams, we need to fix our high school teams and get more schools playing girls cricket, because you'll see there'll be a sudden intake if schools buy into it, and obviously more girls. Because even though there's a bigger pool to select for Proteas, our provincial sides are not as big. And obviously we'd like to see the school space growing, and then that would feed nicely into the varsity space, definitely.
Lovely. We're getting there. Sandman, did you want to say something? Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, all good, brother, all good.
So now, would it be fair of me to ask you, Coach D and Coach Sandman, what are the chances? How well do you think we'll do at the next World Cup before we've even played the game against the series against India? Is it fair of me to ask that? Actually, I'm gonna ask it. How do you guys think we'll do?
No.
Sandman?
Yeah, you see?
Who's gonna answer? Oh no. I think we'll do well. I bet the girls. There's a lot of experience. Like I said, they got a reference point on winning. We've had a lot of traumas of being knocked out at semi-finals, and now we've made it to a final on home turf. So a lot of the bulk of those players that were there, they're present, so they know what it takes to go all the way. Now we just need to get over the line. And going on a tour in a subcontinent nation helps a lot. And again, there'll be reference points on how to play certain scenarios in a game or situations in a game in the World Cup. Obviously, there'll be more pressures at the World Cup, and there won't be, we can do it again against the same opponent. No, it'll be a different opponent with different plans. So I think that'll be the only difference, but I back them to go all the way to the final. Whatever happens in the final, Jesus take the wheel.
Coach D.
same answer as the men. I'd love to see them lift the cup, obviously. I just think we need to get through those knockout stages. Anything can happen in a final. So we need to just set our sights on that and then obviously just play our hearts out. The squad is hungry. The squad is very hungry for victory. And I think with the provincial space being professionalized, it's changed a lot of mindsets of these girls. So the new girls coming in, your Daxons and your Ayanda Shlubis, they're being paid now at a provincial level. They know what it's like to be a professional before they get into the pro squad.
Yeah.
Before, it was like taking this kid that trains twice a week. Still has to go to varsity, still has to maybe have a part-time job, and then now suddenly she gets a call up and she has to train every day and then put the green and gold on and perform. So I would think the professionalization of the provincial squads will help us lift that World Cup as well.
Beautiful. And now we're just gonna go back to what's currently happening now, which is the men's T20 World Cup. Just to close it off, I just want to hear, and we've spoken about the two countries. We might have missed a little bit of a chat with Namibia, but I wanted to focus on the Proteas and of course Uganda, who are new. But now overall, who have you been mostly impressed with in the World Cup at the moment? And who do you think has got a better chance? Besides the Proteas, let's not be biased. Who do you think will be in the finals with the Proteas? Let me say that rather. Coach Dheyanka, I'm going to start with you. I've been putting this man under pressure.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to have to go with Australia is always a contender. And it's a hard one because they made that 200, but they weren't playing in New York, okay?
Yeah.
So let's see what they do in West Indies. India and USA has really surprised me. I see India's crawled their way back into this game, but it's nice to scare these big nations now and then. And those three, and then obviously apart from South Africa, I would think it's going to be a South Africa-Australia final.
Love it.
Sorry. Can't forget West Indies, hey? They've been playing some decent cricket and they're going to have home advantage. True. I said some decent.
Okay. Hey, Sandman, what do you think?
I'm actually going to go with Coach D and say Australia South Africa final. Look, the boys are giving us a bit of a Springbok feel here in terms of winning us close games and keeping us on the edge of our seats. And that, hopefully, you can only be hopeful with the Proteas sometimes, is that will challenge their mindsets on how to win on tough situations. That's the most important thing. And we can only hope, Jesus take the wheel in the final because anything can happen in the final. But yeah, no, look, Australia, South Africa are the most impressive teams. Yes, Arnett doesn't look sexy at all, but we're there. And I think going to West Indies.
Yeah. I mean, a win is a win. We'll take it either way, eh?
West Indies, we're gonna change the game in the Windies.
Yeah. So that's what we all hoping for. Just one more. Do we change the batting lineup? Just one more. I just want to hear it one more time. Do we change the batting lineup for the 15th? Yes or no, Coach D?
Against Nepal, yes.
Yes. Sandsman?
Change the lineup and take us to gold. Simple as that.
There you have it. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you tonight. The chats were amazing. Coach Dheyanka, I think you came with a lot of experience, a lot of expertise, and I'm sure everyone who's listening today enjoyed that. I will tell you for free, I really enjoyed that. It was good to hear some of the change room chats that you have and the chats that you have all around the country in terms of the development of girls cricket. It's good to hear that there's so much that's been done for some of us and some of our viewers who don't necessarily know the hard work that you guys are doing behind the scenes. Sandman, as always, your expertise, I think today you were put under pressure a lot and you came on top. So Thank you so much. But again, diplomatic much, but very true and very straightforward from the both of you. Thank you so much. And to all our viewers again, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, invite your friends, tell your friend to tell a friend to come on here and hear all about sports. And like I say, we're not only talking cricket, we talk everything. And tonight's chat was, of course, the Cricket World Cup and the ladies' cricket. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Danko. It's been great.
Danko. Thank you so much, Cody. It was a pleasure, buddy. Coach D, it was an honor to have you today. Great insight.